Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So I'm here today to talk to you about Bedazzled, the 2000 comedy romantic movie. Man, this thing came out 26 years ago. I remember seeing this on television. And I've only watched this twice in its entirety, once on television, and then, let's see, June of last year on YouTube, because YouTube has it in their movie section. And this is a cute little comedy movie and stuff, starring that Brandon Fraser and Elizabeth Hursley. I can't talk right now. Elizabeth Hursley. And so, this is actually a remake of all things, something I never knew. The remake of the same name came out in 1967. It's a British movie. Basically, it's about this chef and his life sucks, and then the devil takes his soul and he has to try to get it back because, I guess the devil granted him 7 wishes. And so what's his name? Stanley Donen. He was the director, I believe, and he owned the rights to it along with Fox. And so when they made the remake in 2000, he had to sign off on that and stuff. The new director, Howard Ramses, is the one who directed the 2000 movie. And what's really interesting about this movie is it came out in 2000. It's a remake, and they gender swapped the devil in this movie. Now the devil is played by a female. And not only that, but there's a man in this movie. Nobody knows exactly who he is, but they believe he may be God. And the man is black. And what's so interesting about that is that, listen one more time. God is supposedly black in this movie. They gender swap. The devil turned him female from the remake, and nobody complained. Think about it. All this whole, this is woke, and all they do is push their agendas, and all they do is gender bend men and race swap this and that and turn everybody black. There was no talk like that back in 2000. Now, granted, a lot of people probably don't know that this is a remake. But nevertheless, the devil has always been depicted as a man, depending on how you see him, either eyes like a goat face, or a man with red skin and horns, or a white man. And God is normally depicted as a white man. So the fact that they gender bent and race bent another person, nobody complained. If you didn't complain back then, why in the world are you complaining now? Seriously, it's all this fake outrage from these little clickbait sluts, as I like to call them, and everything. A bunch of grown men on YouTube constantly complaining about stuff. And so, I actually forgot all about this movie, man. And I decided to upload it for Valentine's Day. Because for the most part, even though it is a straightforward comedy, there's also a romantic element to it. But it's a one-sided romance element. It's a man by the name of Elliot who's in love with a woman named Allison and stuff. And so it's him trying to not only get with her, but, getting his 7 wishes out and stuff. And so I just decided, since in every scenario, that he's placed in. You know, he's trying to date this woman, but it just never works out. So I decided to upload it for Valentine's Day. Why not? And, you know, back when I watched this all those years ago, which would technically be like last year, I've always found this movie just to be funny, quirky, cute. It is hilarious. Is it the greatest movie of all time? No. Is it the greatest romance movie of all time? No. But it's one of those movies, like if you're bored and you just want something to watch just to kill time, you pop this in, you watch a couple of, and you eat some popcorn, you have a couple of friends over, and you just have a laugh. That's what kind of movie this is. It's just a nice, you know, sit down, relax, you know, fun little ride you are having and everything. And the performances are very stellar in this movie. Brendan Fraser, my God, this dude is a comedic like genius and stuff. He was so hilarious back in the day. He still is now. Like, I saw him in Doom Patrol and he still got it. And, you know, it's funny how his acting career actually started in 1991. He had his first television show, his first movie, and he's been working ever since. However, you know, and somewhere in the mid 2000s, he kind of disappeared a little bit, popping in and out here and there, but he has had a resurgence. I don't know, I read a weird rumor that The Rock had something to do with his hiatus and stuff. Something about those mummy movies. Something happened. I forgot what it was. But I saw this video on YouTube about that. It had something to do with that in The Rock and that Scorpion movie. And they kind of just derailed, I think, one of his movies. And then, you know, it was just one box office failure after another. But back in the 90s, this man was rocking and rolling. And then there's Elizabeth Hurley, like the British actress and stuff. She got her start in the 1980s. That's when she started doing movies and shows. And, you know, I think she was like she might have been like a model, I believe, to begin with. And, you know, she's done a lot of different type of movies and shows and varieties and stuff like that. And her most popular was probably the early 2000s, because after this movie, at some point in time, I believe this came out before the Austin Power movies, I believe. And of course, she was in the first one. And I was mad when she wasn't in the second. Well, technically she is, but then, you know, she's only in the beginning, and it turned out she's a film bot and stuff like that. Her acting is pretty good in this movie. Like, she's no Brendan Fraser, but she does hold her own. Basically, her position in the movie is to be cute, quirky, and sexy. She's constantly wearing all kind of leather-clad outfits and bikinis and stuff like that. Her goal is just to be sexy, but she gives this type of, like, you know, she has charisma to her. She has this diva-ness to her. She knows how to, like, you know, give the smolder and everything. There's one scene on the bus. She is serving face. She is diva and everything. And for the most part, I've always been okay with her acting. Like, you know, like for what she's given is pretty good. She typically plays roles that are kind of similar, the hot vixen, but normally like an antagonist type person or like a good person. She always has this poshness to her, this very properness to her when she acts. My only problem with her is that she needs more depth. Like, it would be nice to see her give like a dramatic role or something like that. Even when she's angry, she still has this poshness to it. I would like to see a little bit more facial expression. Now, this was like 26 years ago, and, you know, she still looks great till this day. She basically is the same, just slightly older and stuff. But because she wears this dark eyeshadow makeup around her eyes in present day when she acts, you can't never see no facial expression from her because the eyeshadow is covering that up. And from what I can tell, her face is natural. Like she's, thank God too. I am so sick and tired of seeing filler face and Botox lips and big bulgy eyes and big puffy cheeks. I'm tired of seeing that in Hollywood. It is so distracting, I swear to God. So it's nice to see a woman who's aging gracefully and has like, her original face. And because it was the early 2000s and stuff, it does have a little bit of that crude humor to it, you know what I'm saying? The movie still holds up to the day. Although that huge CGI scene where like Elizabeth's character turns into like a more accurate depiction of the devil and like he's in hell and stuff like that, you can clearly tell it is CGI. They probably use Windows 97 to make that. It is that CGI looking and stuff. I just wish they could update it, but hey, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so, but however, because it is the early 2000s and it has that crude humor, there are a few things that are a bit outdated. And I'm not talking about a pager in the movie or like the CGI or the computer software. I'm talking about a couple of jokes and stuff. So there's a scene where the devil and Elliot are in Allison's bedroom and she's in the shower and the devil's all like, she's in the shower naked. You want to go take a peek? And he's like, no, that's the praise. So, oh, come on, just do it. And so he does it. And yes, back in that day, that is considered funny and everything. Like, I can see the humor in that. However, it is beyond problematic because he's a peeping Tom. And I can see what something like that will not float today. But back in the day, that would have been considered hilarious and everything. Also, there's another scene. See, the devil puts Elliot in all these different situations, right? Whenever he makes a wish, like he wanted to be rich and powerful. So she made him a Colombian drug dealer. And you have Brandon Fraser dressed like a stereotypical Colombian drug lord. And you have everybody else that's like his co-workers, because he don't have friends, his co-workers. They are Colombian as well, even though they're white and not one lonely black guy. And everybody is speaking Spanish. And everybody's doing the accent and the stereotypical portrayals of how like somebody Spanish would act. And I can see where that could be offensive. And like there's another scene where he's like the sensitive guy and he's a ginger. But it's weird. Instead of having pale skin, he has the red hair, the freckles, but he looks biracial black. And I'm like, is he playing a ginger or like a half black ginger or like what? And so like, now the scene where he's the smart guy and he's technically gay, I don't think that's offensive because they don't say nothing rude or nasty towards like gay people or nothing. It's just he's smart and gay and don't want to be gay and stuff like that because he's straight. So maybe somebody might find that offensive, but I don't think it is. Now, critics and the audience, they don't like the depiction of women in this movie. One, you have the devil and she's always dressing sexy, and like there are times where she will like start to pout and cry and use that as a defense to make him feel sorry for her and stuff like that. Then there is Allison, who's basically just there to be the love interest, and there's no characteristics about her. There's no development, there's no nothing. She's just there to be like, his desire and everything. And not only that, but in the simulations, she always ends up leaving him for a person who's like horrible and everything, showing that girls will either just go for the bad guy or they'll go for like a loser and everything. And so a lot of people had a problem with that. And I can see where that can be problematic as well. And so the movie depicts Elliot, played by Brandon Fraser, and he works at a dead-end job at a computer company, and he has absolutely no friends, and he has no girlfriend, and his co-workers cannot stand him. He's very overzealous, really geeky and nerdy. He's kind of like Steve Urkel, who thinks he's kind of like the coolest person around, but he's really the dorkiest person in the world. And he just comes off too strong to try to be likable. And so his coworkers literally just they always try their best to like avoid this dude. But he can't really see it because in his world he just thinks he's kind of cool. But there's this coworker named Allison who he's just head over heels for. And so when he does try to talk to her, he completely blows it. And when he goes outside, this is when he meets the devil. See, the devil has a computer software where she scans everybody in the world to see their weaknesses and stuff. And once she finds somebody who's like Elliot, she pounces and everything so that they can sell their soul to her. So basically, she's all like, yo, I'm the devil and everything. He's like, you ain't the devil. You ain't got no horns or nothing like that. And you're not a man. So then she dresses like a man in a really fake, cheap costume of the devil. And I would assume that the original devil actor back from 1967 would like, play him. But no, that dude passed away in 1995. May he rest in peace, whoever he is. And so, like, after some convincing, he still just doesn't believe her. Even when she does a little bit of hocus pocus here and there by being in one spot and appearing in another, she's all like, yo, just make a wish and everything and just sell that soul to me. So he's all like, oh, whatever. I wish for like a Big Mac and a Coke. And so they head to like a burger place and she orders him a Big Mac and a Coke, but he has to pay for it. See, here's the thing with the devil. She will grant his wishes, but she adds a twist to it that really screws up his wish so that he will hate it and have to, like, wish for like another thing. And so once all the wishes are up, she gets his soul and everything. And so that's basically just the entire premise of the movie after this point. He makes a wish, he's put in one situation after another. It goes horribly wrong until he gets to that last wish and everything. And in a way that kind of slows the movie down just a little bit. But the situations he's placed in are just hilarious. And like I said before, Brandon Fraser yaks them up. Like this man is hilarious, man. I swear to God. And so like in one situation, he's that Colombian, drug lord, and then his girlfriend wants this other guy. He's pissed. Then he gets shot at. He's on a helicopter. And every time he's in a bad situation, the devil gives him a little red pager to contact her. And so as he's falling to his death, he's able to get the pager and stuff. I mean, this is blatant brown face, no matter how you look at it. I mean, they literally painted his skin brown and all the other white actors and stuff. And the reason why he was a drug overlord is because he wanted to be rich and powerful. But then, the next time, he wants to be the most sensitive person in the world because he feels girls like sensitivity. So she makes him super soft, and I mean super soft and everything. And basically, the girl is just kind of like, oh God, this ain't gonna work out. But then he draws a picture of her and she loves it until these guys come over, but hey, just want to get a beer. So she goes off with these group of random guys she never met before. And he's all like, she's all like, I'm just gonna go get a beer. It'll take 2 minutes. He's like, well, my home's 45 minutes away. And she's like, well, it'll take 45 minutes then. And she's like, where do you live at? He's like, my van. She's like, cool. So he's crying his eyes out because he's way too sensitive. Then he wants to be the smartest person in the world. And so when he brings that girl that he likes, Allison, to his place, there's a man in his bed. And like he's all like, we're gay, and he's like, I'm not gay, I'm straight. And so like then he starts talking, and he's all like, oh crap, I am gay, but the stuff I'm saying. And so of course that don't work out. And then he wants to be like the best athlete in the world. So she makes him a basketball player. And he's over like 6 foot tall. And that's some weird CGI. He just looks weird the entire time. And so this one woman, like the news lady, is hitting on him, and he's ready to take her home because he's tall, big, and in charge, or so he is. He looks down below, and he has a tiny wee wee. So she don't want him because of that, making her look shallow and everything. I can't stop laughing because this whole scene is just hilarious. And so, like, the next wish, he wants to be, like, president of the United States. So she literally makes him Abraham Lincoln on the night he went to the play. And so John Wick's Booth is there, ready to shoot him. He's like, crap, like, what event is this? He's like, oh, no, not the play. So he's desperate. Like, so he's about to get shot. He's like, hold up a second. So he whips out the pager. He stops tapping at it. And then he's back in the present day. And after this, he just, like, he decides, like, he's just had enough. And I mean, like, enough. And so he goes to like a church and talks to a priest, and the priest thinks he's a drunk idiot and calls the police. As he's in the holding cell, this is where he meets the potential depiction of God. So there's a black man in the jail cell with a toothpick in his mouth, and he asks, like, why are you in here? And so they just start talking, and he's all like, look, man, I got something to tell you, but nobody will believe me. He's all like, the devil has my soul, and once these 7 wishes are up, she's gonna keep it. And the man, he's very soft-spoken and everything. He's all like, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. The devil doesn't own your soul because God owns your soul. And he starts telling him some very uplifting stuff. Many people wonder who this man is. He's very soft-spoken. And the devil, like one time, Elliot asked her, yo, is God real? And she doesn't really like to mention him, but like, she's like, yeah, he is real and everything and stuff. And so many people suspect that this dude might actually be God, because at the end of the movie, when Elliot gets his happy ending, the devil and this man from the jail cell are both wearing white, and they're playing a game of chess. And that's normally like an innuendo into like when people play chess, it's strategy, who gets to win, who's the smarter person, and so many people believe that that is God and everything. But however, just last year, the actor did admit that he did in fact play God in the movie. So he did actually play God. But then Elliot basically tells the devil, like, look, man, I'm done. I ain't wishing for nothing. She's like, oh, yes, you are going to wish for something. See, the devil throughout this entire movie, she's been very nice. She's very outgoing. She's a party girl and everything. She owns a nightclub. And so she even talks about, like, she even kind of seduces him a little bit, talking about you're my favorite and everything like that. I thought in the movie those two are going to get together, but they don't. And so, like, there's even a time where she just starts crying, talking about, you hurt my feelings and everything, just to kind of make him, like, feel guilty and crap. But then she's all like, look, man, don't you test me. I have that dark side you heard about, and I will unleash it if you do not, like, make your 7th wish. He's all like, no. So she turns into a big giant devil and throws him into hell and everything. And so he's screaming, and he makes his final wish because he doesn't want to spend eternity there. And his last wish caught her off by surprise. It's not about for him. He wants Allison just to be happy in life. And the devil's kind of like, you know what? You are the first person to not be selfish. Like, you literally wanted somebody else to be happy with your wish and everything. And she sees something special in him, and that's why, like, he's her favorite and stuff like that. And he tells her, she tells him, like, oh, fine, you can keep your soul, your 7 wishes are done, live your life however you want to, blah, 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 blah. And then he tells her, you know what? You're like the best friend like I always like never had or something like that. You like literally have been the nicest person to me, even though she has been tricking him. But he literally tells her you're literally like the nicest person to be like, be towards me and everything, because everybody else treats him like crap. And it was like a really nice moment that these two got to share and everything. That, he found a friend in somebody who's supposed to be the incarnate of evil. So, like, when he's at his job, the other people are harassing him and he's about to hurt somebody, showing that he now has a backbone and stuff like that. And when he asks Allison out, she tells him, oh, sorry, I'm dating somebody else. So his wish did come true. She is happy. When he goes home, he meets a woman named Nicole. Now, ironically, Nicole is played by the same actress who plays Allison, but with different hair. And when he's talking to her, she's moving into his apartment. She is just as quirky and nerdy and geeky as he is. And so those two hit it off. And they start to like date and everything. And so it's kind of like if he would have just been himself and just wait to find that perfect somebody, things would have worked out for him. And that's a nice moral lesson to learn. The only problem is it wasn't really depicted like that in the movie. In the movie, he just wanted to meet, like he just wanted to date Allison and be rich and powerful and everything to impress her. Now, I wish they could have shown early in the movie when he's dorky and nerdy that he doesn't like himself. We see his coworkers not liking him, but we don't get to see him not liking himself because he likes himself for the most part. And so this would have been a great moral lesson for him to learn, being like, you know what? I should like myself. There's nothing wrong with me. And as long as I find somebody who's similar to me, everything will work out fine. That would have been a heck of a lot stronger messaging and stuff like that. Because the movie actually made some pretty good money. It had like a budget of 48 million, but it made 90 million. And the thing is, Brandon Fraser actually dropped out of The Wedding Planner with Jennifer Lopez and everything to do this movie. And I think it cost about 10 million for him to drop out of it or something like that. Or he either had to pay 10 million to drop out of it, or they paid him 10 million to be in this movie. And for the most part, he made the right decision because of the simple fact. Even though The Wedding Planner made 4 million more than this movie, and The Wedding Planner came out at #1, The Wedding Planner got some strong negative reviews. People just didn't really feel that movie. But this movie, it came at #2 because Meet the Parents came at #1. And not only that, but this movie got like just mixed reviews, but pretty favorable and everything like that. They was mixed only because it needed stronger messaging and it needed more of a story than just a one linear storytelling of a man going through these different scenarios of him dating a woman that he just can't get. And so, like, but for the most part, even though his movie financially and box office wise didn't do as great, it was close. It was very close. His movie got better reviews than The Wedding Planner and stuff. Now, wasn't that romantic or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about? Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.